welcome back to our Morena Terrace project. I owe you guys an apology because we are already kind of a little far along in framing, and I was hoping to get you guys out here for while we were setting the steel work and while we were starting the walkout framing, but my schedule has been out of control lately, and I will be certain, if you guys follow along, we will get you out on our Winterberry project while the steel's going in and while the walkout framing's being done, so you guys can see that process. So subscribe to the page so you make sure that you can see that. So we're going to start off today on the first floor of the Morena Terrace project. And they finished the deck this morning, and we use, as you'll see, Advantech subflooring for all of our homes. We won't use anything else, and we use Advantech makes their own adhesive to use with the subfloors instead of using like standard Loctite or something. So they offer you, I think it's like a lifetime warranty against squeaks, and they're whisper quiet. Their adhesive is strong as can be. I'm gonna put a demo together one day and we'll show you what it's like if you take two pieces of Advantech subflooring spanned across like 3 or 4 feet and you screw it together, how flexible it is. If you use like standard adhesive, you stand in the middle, how flexible it is. If you use their adhesive between those two panes and just nail it together, it is like stiff as a board. So I'll take some of the scraps that we'll have from this and we'll put that demo together for you in the next couple weeks. And also maybe we'll take some other subflooring materials to show you comparisons with like a standard OSB or plywood. But one of the best advantages of using this Advantech subflooring, and mind you, this is not a sponsored video, none of that. This is just our preferred materials. This stuff can sit out in the rain for 300 plus days and you don't have to deal with dimensional change and warping. So you don't have to come back and sand all your joints and flatten it out. This is all put down on top of engineered floor joists. So we use an 11 7/8 TGI floor joist. What that does is it gives you a nice dead flat floor system, and it gives you a 2.5-inch nailer on top of the joist to attach your subflooring to. And it also allows from one end of the house right to the other is all one piece of engineered lumber, instead of if you were using 2x12 dimensional lumber, you'd run from the edge of the house there, you'd land on the beam here, then you'd have to sandwich one next to it and run it out to the back of the house. So your nail pattern takes a little jog, and sometimes guys have a tendency to miss that jog on the nail pattern, and that kind of contributes some to the squeak. And engineered floor joists just go in so much quicker. They started the floor system late in the day yesterday, and we're able to lay all the joists, all of our LVLs, everything else, and sheet it pretty much in a day and a half, so pretty quick. And I will take you guys kind of through a tour of the house. We're going to be careful not to fall down the hole. We will be putting up safety surround tomorrow on this. The guys just kind of ran out of time today. We don't want to risk anybody that's not supposed to be here coming up and taking a spill what is now 12 feet down to a concrete floor. So this is going to be the entryway of the house. There's going to be, we have a mahogany door being made for this home that is an arch door, and then it has arch transom glass that follows the whole door around. And I think once we end up with the glass on top, it's about a 9 foot tall assembly. So we'll come in through here, and this opens up to a large great room that will have 18-foot ceilings, and there will be just wide open space all the way from here is wide open all the way back to this end of the house. As you come through the great room here, this is all your kitchen area here, and we've got a built-in pantry off to the side, so this back wall is actually our cabinet wall in the kitchen. And then we've got a little like breakfast nook bump out here. And in this area, once we're in the kitchen and breakfast nook, we're at a 9-foot ceiling here. Our 18-foot ceilings are just in the great room, and the entryway has 18-foot ceilings. Here there's going to be a covered patio off the back. It will be from the bump out here to the bump out here, and it'll just shoot straight back. We'll have a roof system above it. That way you can still enjoy your outdoor space if it's raining. We're doing a stub out for a small little built-in kitchen, so they can still do, they can cook, do whatever they want out there no matter what the weather is. And the great room will then have a catwalk across the top of it here. These are the stairs that will take you both to the basement and then upstairs. And so when you land on the upstairs, you've got a catwalk that takes you back to that side of the house. And once we've got the second floor, we'll take you for a walk through the second floor layout as well. But there's gonna be 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on that side of the house. And then on what's going to be this side of the second floor, you will have your second floor mechanical room. So we have HVAC separate for upstairs of the house as we do down here. So once you're out of the great room, we have this whole side of the house is your master suite. Bedroom is at the back of the home, and we've got big windows facing back to the woods, and there's not going to be anybody behind you here. So you've got a nice view of the trees. It's a good sized room. I don't remember the dimensions off the top of my head, but we come through the master and we land in the bathroom. And in the master bath, we have a big walk-in shower that's all tile and a separate freestanding tub and dual vanities in here. And then it opens to a walk-in closet that starts right about here and comes through here, and it's the whole width of this section. We're gonna have a little built-in bench that sits below the window. There's gonna be a good-sized picture window here that we'll do a power shade for them, so if they want to, bring a shade down, something to cover, they'll have that there. And I think we're about, I get them confused. So I know either this one's about 2,200 on the main level, and our Winterberry's 21, or this is 21 and our Winterberry's 22 on the main level, but I can't recall. I'll have to give you guys, when we do the second floor walkthrough, I'll actually bring the prints out with me and I can kind of show them to you, and I'll have the actual square footage with it. So we will have a second door, we'll have your normal entry door over there, but then in the garage, we'll have a service door that brings you in, and we have a good sized mudroom with built-in benches and some lockers here. And then around this section here is your laundry room. And there's going to be some extra storage in the laundry room, and our client wants us to build a little kind of a nook, because this is going to be the other cabinet wall in the kitchen, and they're looking for like a cubby to put your coffee maker, coffee grinder, other small kitchen appliances that you don't want out all the time. So we're going to build back a little nook that's going to have a closing door that matches the cabinets, and it's going to be the same quartz countertops that flow into that. So that's going to take a little bump out space from our laundry room, but there's a bunch of cabinet and storage space in here as it is. You see, we still have not finished our metal deck for the garage floor that's going to be over the storage room. Our plan is this weekend to get that knocked out, because we've got the metal decking that has to go down is delivering tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow's Friday, so it'll be a little bit of a weekend project. And we'll take you guys for a walk down around the back of the house so we can kind of show you what went on underneath. All right, so we're taking a walk down the secondary driveway that takes us to the back shop entrance. And you'll see that we have another Huber Engineer wood product on this house, which is their zip system sheeting. This gives us our air and water barrier all built into one without having to do a fluid applied system or wrapping the house with paper like you've seen done. There's a few different companies that make it. You guys have probably seen driving by construction sites and seeing homes that are wrapped in like a white paper and stapled in or nailed in. We prefer to have everything already installed on the sheathing and not have to worry about tears in paper or any of that. It does come with a little bit more work and a little bit more cost. You have to tape every seam and you have to roll the tape. If you don't roll the tape, you don't get proper adhesion on the panel and you can get water that does leak by it. So it's critical to roll the tape on every seam every time. And if you don't overdrive the fasteners, you don't need to worry about covering your fasteners. I don't remember the spec off the top of my head, but if you overdrive them a certain amount, they do recommend that you come back and either tape over them or use what they call the zip system liquid flash, which we will come back after the fact and liquid flash anything that is overdriven, even if it's within the spec, even if it breaks the surface a little bit, we'll come by through and cover it up just to make sure. And you'll see like these outside corners, you end up wrapping with tape and rolling the corners as well. And our job site is a little bit dirtier than I like to have it, but typically we would throw away all of these drops. This would normally just all go in a dumpster. Given current lumber prices, we are going to save all of our drops to use for blocking throughout the house. So what blocking is if you're going to mount cabinets on the wall in the kitchen, instead of just screwing into like a 2x6 in the wall, you actually would bridge a block between two 2x6s to give yourself a larger area to nail to, or screw to, I mean. We would normally just buy new sticks of lumber for that. Given the price is so high, we're going to save all of our drops and use what we can from our drops, and then if we need to buy anything else to finish it, we will. But the first thing we'll do is use what we have. So now that we're down below the first floor deck, you can see that those are the engineered joists we were talking about upstairs. They span from like where this bump out's at, they send us longer ones that'll run all the way to the end of the bump out. They run across both beams and then land on top of the sill plate for the rest of the, for the other end. That sill plate's pressure treat lumber. Any lumber that's in direct contact with concrete needs to be treated, or else you risk bad rot in the wood. Because no matter what, concrete carries some moisture in it, and lumber will wick that moisture out of it into itself. And you'll see that we've got angled boards kind of nailed around all over the place, and that is to keep the walls both plumb and square to one another until we've got the whole house assembled and tied together. At that point, we'll come back through and take these all out. And if you guys have watched the earlier videos during the foundation and the layout, you'll remember we had our load-bearing footings poured underneath the floor. Those footings are to carry the weight of these vertical columns that in turn take the weight of the steel I-beams that run across. If you didn't have these center supports on this beam, you'd end up risking bowing over time, especially since this carries like the whole weight of the center of the house, and a large majority of the roof load transfers down to these points as well. And you can kind of see where you have load-bearing walls above you, because you'll see where you've got our engineered joists, and then you'll see these change color. These are LVLs. They're a laminated lumber that are very good at carrying heavy loads. And you'll see we've got 4 of them sandwiched together here, and we've got a 4 here. So we've got walls upstairs that will carry 2 stories worth of load down to those points. And then kind of the same thing with where the staircase comes down. since we can't run joist all the way out, you have to frame the opening with LVLs to carry that load. And it's not guesswork. The manufacturer of the engineered lumber, of the floor joist, they take the floor plans and they run the calculations and tell you exactly which beams you need, which locations, and which hangers to use, what size nails to use, and any other pertinent information. They include all that with the floor system. So this, again, like we've talked about, this wall will get finished out, clean over to there, and that's going to separate off regular basement space from the shop space. He's got an entry door here that brings him in. And you'll notice that this beam is significantly larger than that. That beam is a 12-inch I-beam that weighs about 24 pounds a foot. Designation is a W12 24. So W12 is the height of the beam, and the number that follows it is the weight per foot. So this is a W14 82. So this beam is 82 pounds a linear foot. So that is a big beam. Even our steel company called us when we put the order in to question if we ordered the right size beam. But this is what the architect spec'd, because we're spanning 27 foot 6 inches with this beam without a support, and it has to carry the load for the main floor, the kitchen that's above it, and then the second floor above that. You've got a lot of weight that comes down to this beam, so that's why we had to, that's why the architect sized it as big as he did. And then in the shop area, we did this big window looking out. Our client's going to make this kind of his office area within the shop, desk, computer, all that. So he wanted to be able to, have a nice natural light coming in and have a good view out back. And then you'll see we've got more steel work. Again, spec'd by the architect for this, just to keep as much headroom as we could going into here. So instead of having to do, like a 14-inch LVL to support the weight, we just did an 8-inch I-beam. And then with this being the overhead door coming in, there was no way to get a large enough LVL in place to carry the load. So same thing, we've got a W8 I-beam there with steel supports on both sides. So you'll notice, if you look at the framing, we don't have the sheathing going all the way up to the top of the wall that was framed prior to the floor going on. So what we'll do when we build the second or the first floor walls, we actually want to sheathe those walls, the floor system, and the walkout walls all across that. So you don't have a shear point there anymore. It helps introduce a ton of rigidity to the house. If you were to have sheathed up to the top of the plate and then sheathed down to that, you run the risk of having a shear plane there. Same thing if you just went to the floor system. You don't want to end sheathing where there's a horizontal cut on the house. So we'll just come back, and when we get the second floor walls, first floor walls, we'll sheathe down and match up with what's here. And we did that all the way around the house where there's framing. Once you run to the concrete, quite naturally, you don't need to worry about that.